We hacked the hackers, so says the DOJ, and indeed the news is true. Everything has been breaking from the Wall Street Journal to The Hill, the Register, and every other major news outlet that the Hive, one of the most notorious hacking groups over the past couple of years, has been shut down. This is huge news for you as an MSP and all your clients. So let's unpack this. Let's uncover what happened, who the Hive was, and what this means for the future of ransomware. The Justice Department on Thursday announced it had disrupted a notorious cybercriminal group called the Hive. They have been behind the ransomware attacks of more than 1,500 victims worldwide and more than $100 million in extorted payment. The announcement came amid an ongoing larger effort by the Biden administration to clamp down on ransomware attacks, which have surged in recent years and held hostage the data of critical organizations like hospitals, governments, and schools. So let's talk about Hive just for a minute. Who are these people? Why are they so notorious, as the news called them, and why have they become a scourge that all security operators have been celebrating the demise of? Well, let's dive in just a little bit more and understand who the Hive is, or should I say, who they were. The Hive ransomware group was typically known for going after targets that really no one else would. If you would believe it, some ransomware actors just wouldn't go after certain targets based upon the value or the industry that they may be in. They believed it might cause too much damage and too much blowback politically to them, but not the Hive. You see, the Hive was known to go after literally just about anybody. They would even go after major healthcare clinics. As you see right here in the news, they were behind the attack a couple of years ago on Memorial Health Systems out in West Virginia and Ohio. This was the same attack that forced the hospital to stop accepting new patients and to pay a ransom to decrypt health data. Now, this is something that all organizations need to be prepared for. Just because Hive was shut down does not mean ransomware is over. In fact, it's something that should be viewed as a persistent threat. Imagine what would happen to your healthcare clinic if you simply could not accept patients for multiple days. Imagine what happens to your organization outside of healthcare when you simply cannot operate, meaning that you cannot generate money. This is why ransomware is such a pervasive problem that should be assessed accurately and seriously by every organization, large or small, profit or nonprofit. In their press release, the DOJ said, "Cybercrime is a constantly evolving threat, but as we've said before, we will spare no resources to identify and bring justice to anyone, anywhere, who targets the United States with a ransomware attack." I think this is great news. I think it's good to see the US government continue to enforce this, even though we know there are many other threat actors all around just like the Hive. Shutting one down shows progress, and it shows a tenacious effort by the US government and our partners overseas in the ever nonstop, non-ending fight against ransomware threat actors. And that brings up our next question. How exactly did the Hive get shut down? Was it like push button and all of a sudden they were gone? Did they just poof disappear in the middle of a successful hack by the United States government? Well, not so much. This actually took them quite a bit of time. It was multiple years in the making, believe it or not. FBI Director Christopher Wray said the disruption campaign against Hive had taken place over the past year and a half and involved FBI personnel gaining access to Hive's control panels in order to give access to victims for their keys to unlock their encrypted systems. For instance, FBI agents were able to disrupt a Hive ransomware attack that targeted the computer systems of a Texas school district. The department said it provided the school district with decryption keys, saving it from making a $5 million ransom payment, which is wonderful news. Now, we do know that many others did fall victim and simply did have to pay to the tune of over $100 million. And so that brings up the next question. So does this mean this is the end of Hive itself as a ransomware criminal operation? Well, yes, and also no. You see, we know that the Hive has been permanently shut down. They will not return. But unfortunately, as of the date of this video, no arrests have been made. Now, there have been speculation among law enforcement and security personnel that most of the operators were running out of Russia. This could explain why, indeed, no arrests have been made. However, this is a good thing because anytime we see this sort of disruption in a ransomware operations group like this, it does cause things to have to go back to ground level, and many of the attackers, many of these criminals, to have to reassess and rebuild from scratch. In fact, John Holtquist, from the head of Mandiant's threat intelligence group at Google, said that Hive may have to regroup, retool, and possibly even rebrand. He went on to say, when arrests aren't possible, we'll have to focus on tactical solutions and better defense. Until we can address the Russian safe haven and the resilient cybercrime marketplace, this will have to be our focus. So I thought I would leave you with this. I thought I would show you the shutdown of Hive itself. I'm going to go and bring up their website in Tor. We can safely do this now that the site has been shut down. I am still going to hide the actual URL just because I think it's the right thing to do. But I think we'll end in celebration of seeing exactly what they have said and what the FBI has placed on their website as a shutdown notice. Let's go take a peek. So here we are. We can actually see the shutdown website. We can see that it's been pushed offline. I have got the entire site up. We've loaded this in Tor so that we can get to this. This isn't an Onion site, and you can actually see here that the GIF that's loading is constantly rotating between different languages. So this is in partnership with the State Attorney General's office. It's also in partnership with the state of Florida, which is my home state, and it looks like some overseas groups as well: Secret Service, Federal Crime Police Office, the Polize, Europol, and so on and so forth. And I thought this was interesting too. I decided to go over here and click on View Page Source because I thought maybe there's like a hidden message or something funny that's inside of it. And you can see right here that this domain has been seized. It really doesn't show anything other than showing the actual GIF itself, seizure.gif. And there you have it. So that is the shutdown site. I encourage all of you to join me in celebration of the shutdown of the Hive. But let's also come back and end on this note. As we said before, we know that ransomware is not over. We do know that we have friends in the federal government that will continue this fight. We have friends overseas that will do the same. We do know that there is always an end of punishment for most of these cyber criminals, but that does not mean that we should let down our guard. This should be a lesson in story and moral to us all, that while they have been shut down, over $100 million of US business money has been stolen. Imagine if your business were incorporated into all of this. How would you have survived? How would you deal with 16 days of outage time on average and over $1 million in damage when you tell the story of an attack all told? These are the questions that I think you need to be prepared for. These are the things that you need to be ready for, because ransomware has become and will continue to be one of the most pervasive threats that your business can face today. So I encourage you to have a conversation with your MSP about this exactly, so that you can be prepared for when this attack might happen to you. We know it may not come from the Hive, but it certainly may come at one of the most inopportune times, and I encourage you to be prepared. And in closing, I quote George Washington, the very first president of the United States, when he said the very best way to prevent a war is to be prepared for it. So I encourage you to let that be your lesson learned today, to be prepared for a cyber attack, because it could happen at any time. Thanks.